Welcome in 2022 IdahoSports.com state wrestling preview. We are coming live and coming at you on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, as well as Twitter. We're going to be here for the next, half an hour, 45 minutes. We'll see, breaking down all of your questions and comments about state wrestling 2022. My name is Brandon Baney. I'm just the traffic director here. I mean, the guy who's going to be doing the bulk of the driving today, Bryan Zollinger. Bryan, thank you for joining us once again. We did this last year and it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Appreciate you having me again.
Definitely. Okay, so for our audience that may not be familiar, I mean, people hear your name and a lot of people know who you are already, but give us an intro to your background in wrestling in the state of Idaho.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Idaho around it. I grew up in Sugar Salem at the time. You know, we had kind of a mini dynasty. I think we won state 3 of the 4 years I was there, and they had several before I was there and several after. And so just really got into it. Wrestled a little college at BYU before they cut the program, a little bit at Boise State. Chris Owens was their helping coach, who's a, all-time Idaho great. And I've just been around it, bringing my kids up in it. I've got a son who's a sophomore, and I find myself involved running kids programs. We have a full-time gym in Idaho Falls where we try to train as many kids as my brother runs that. And so always around it. It's a year-round passion of ours, and, follow it at every level from little kids to the Olympics, and just love doing it. It's a passion of my family's, and can't imagine life without it. It is life. They say wrestling's a lifestyle, and it's no doubt about it.
Definitely. And I know we've got a lot of wrestling diehards tuning in tonight for our preview show. So here's the deal. If you want to ask us a question, and really if you want to ask Bryan a question, or if you want to leave a comment, or you want to give your favorite team or wrestler a shout out, or you want us to talk about a specific team or a specific competitor, drop us a comment, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will put your comment up on the screen and we will answer your question. And so it's really cool. We get to interact with the fans, and you guys and gals are going to kind of steer the conversation tonight as we navigate this state wrestling water. So, we already had a couple of questions very early on. We made the post on social media saying, hey, tune in Wednesday night and we're going to be, breaking down all the wrestling action. And we got a couple of questions before the live stream even started, Bryan. The first question was, who are the freshmen to watch out for? Because, we're going to talk a little bit about the 4-time state champions club, but you don't get to that level without winning right away in your first year. So who are some freshmen you're keeping an eye on?
I mean, there are a handful. There are 25 just super freshmen this year, at least. I think my money is on Matthew Martino, Bishop Kelly at 113, 4A school. He is just all around great wrestler. I have, my money is on him taking state. Then there's a handful of 98 pounders that I think, should win it as well. Or not, did I say Matthew? Yeah. At 98 pounds, you've got Bowden Banta at the 3A level from South Fremont. I think he's got a really good shot at it. And I think from Post Falls, you got Ryder Seguin, who also at 98 pounds, who I think he will win it. And so you've got 3 that I would bet money on it. Now there's a handful of others. Coy Orr from Buell. He's got a really tough matchup. If in the finals, there's always upsets, but Coy Orr has a shot. He's wrestled the American Falls. I just went blank on the American Falls kid's name, but 3 times they've wrestled this season. And so he's lost 3. So that's going to be a tough finals matchup for him. Coulter Burton. That's a tough one, but I think Coy Orr has a shot. But those 3 I think are pretty solid bets. And then, Caden McKenzie from Fruitland is solid. Seth Martin from Post Falls. That's tough when you get up into the 138 weight class as a freshman, a lot of seniors and juniors. Mason Aiken from American Falls at 113 has a shot. Ryder Sheen for Buell has a shot. So there's a handful. DJ Nider at Idaho Falls, I think he's going to turn some heads. He's had a great season. So there's a handful, but those 3, Banta, Seguin, and Martino, I think are, they're not locks. You're never a lock, but I think they have a really good shot at doing it.
Definitely. Here's our first comment of the night, Bryan, from Donovan. Go Tigers. Now, unfortunately, Tigers is probably the most common team name in the state of Idaho. So, Donovan, which Tigers are you talking about? There's Aberdeen, there's Idaho Falls, there's
Yeah.
I mean, there's tigers up and down.
I'm guessing Donovan's referencing Idaho Falls. In fact, we just mentioned his son is DJ Nider that we said has a shot at a 4-time for the Idaho Falls Tigers. And DJ's had a solid season at 126 for a freshman. That's a stacked weight class, but I think he's got 7 losses on the season. Looked really good at some big tournaments. So that's funny that Donovan's watching us here in Idaho Falls.
Yeah, we love it. Here's Adele Moore, go Indians, and then she adds Buell Indians.
Yeah.
You just talked about Brian.
Yeah.
An impressive freshman from Buell that are wrestling.
Yep,
here's Donovan, Idaho Falls. That's right. Here's go Grizzlies, Skyline.
I know that lady.
Yeah, I was gonna say that last name looks familiar, Brian. So hey, this is what we want to do. We want the fans to interact. We want you to ask us questions about the brackets. Is there a particular weight class you want us to talk about? Is there an athlete? Is there a team? Is there a girl that's competing that you want us to talk about? This is the first year, Brian, that we have officially sanctioned girls wrestling as a officially recognized sport by the IHSAA. And to me, it's long overdue.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've been pushing for this since I've got 2 daughters. In fact, my daughter was a freshman this year and wrestled. And due to complications with the scheduling of cheerleading state, it was the same weekend as girls regional qualifier. So she wasn't able to go. She had to go support her cheer team. But I pushed for it forever. I'm super excited. I mean, 160 of the best girls in the state of Idaho battling it out. And a lot of people in the wrestling community have pushed for a true state championship, like a lot of states do, where you combine all the divisions for a long time. And that's what we have this year in girls wrestling. And so it's a lot of good girls didn't get to come to state because there's just one division, 8-person bracket, but 160, I should say 80 excellent girls competing this weekend. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. Wide open. You have equal representation from just about every school across the state has 1 or 2 girls coming. A couple have 3. Eagle has 6, which was the most by a couple. Thunder Ridge, Columbia, Grace, they each have 4. Grace is the newbies have done a great job there for such a small school. That was just a stacked team to take 4 girls to state. They've done a tremendous job, and a lot of other coaches around the state in building this. And I'm excited to see, do we double next year? I think we easily could, because a lot of excitement around it. It's going to be fun to watch.
Definitely. Adele says, I think it's awesome that girls are involved this year. I do too. It's like the exact opposite. The last couple of years, we had the unofficial state tournament at Pocatello where basically anybody could register, and they built the brackets from there to now where it's a very buttoned up, very structured event. Like you said, a lot of very good wrestlers left at home. I'm looking at the Zimmermans from Moscow to represent well, Alyssa Randalls from Coeur d'Alene up north. And then you've got some like nationally ranked wrestlers on the girls' side from like Caldwell and Rocky Mountain, right? That are going to be fantastic.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Definitely. Okay, we've got some questions about individual weight classes here. Let's start with Travis Munson. 4A 126 is going to be fun to watch. The lower weights in 4A really always seem to be very competitive, Brian.
They are. And 126, I mean, it's up for grabs. I mean, you've got Aiden Go from Caldwell, Joseph Terry, Minico is going to be pushing it. Simon Graber, Columbia, Blackfoot on our side of the state, Lindsay Carter is going to be pushing it. Nampa's got 2 really good kids there, Hernandez and Peyton Munson. It's wide open. Anything could happen, but it's definitely a good weight class. I don't know if you go chalk on this one. I doubt it, but Graber is the 1 seed. It's hard to bet against him. He's beat Go from Caldwell before in this season. So, but Joseph Terry from Minico, just a junior, could come in and pull the upset that he's sitting there at the 3 seed. And there's some solid kids that are in those 6, 7, 8 seed spots, and some of the draws. I mean, there's not an easy draw in that weight. So that's going to be a fun weight class to see for sure.
Yeah, so you mentioned Nampa. They always seem to do really well at the lower weights the last couple of years. And going into the 4A competition, Nampa is, at least in my eyes, kind of the favorite. And Minico is right up there too. But how do you see this 4A team race unfolding?
Yeah, I think you're right. Minico and Nampa are definitely the favorites based on numbers. And Minico, they've got some solid competitors coming too. It's just not a numbers game. With Nampa has 17, and I believe Minico had 24. So the numbers this year might be enough to sway that Minico's favor. And plus, like I said, Minico's got some kids that are going to win it. Those lighter weights at Nampa, Navarro, Simon Luna, Carson Exford. I mean, they're going to have some kids in the finals in those lower weights. They're solid at the middle weights with Gonzalez, Siemens up in the 160, I think is the 3 seed. So they're solid all around. But I think Minico this year, I think they have enough kids that are going to compete. I'm actually picking Minico this year to win it. Just those extra numbers that they're bringing this year, 24, that's 7 extra kids. And they have kids that are, they're going to go a long way in the brackets. So I'm picking Minico over Nampa, but it's one of those 2 teams, I think.
Yeah, Minico brought the most wrestlers to state last year, but it was their conference rival Jerome. They came home with the title. Right. And Nampa went to the Red Halverson invite at Minico middle of the season. And all the big 4A powers were there. Nampa, Jerome, Minico, Blackfoot. And Nampa came away with the team title for the first time in over 30 years at that invite. So
it's true. And I think head to head in a duel, Nampa probably wins a duel with Minico too. I just don't know just the numbers. And Minico's got too deep in some weights, which they weren't able to have at the Red Halverson invitation, that I think could make the difference. I think it's going to be really close. Those middle upper weights from 52 to 82, they're too deep there. And in some of those weights, they could have 2 kids on the podium if things go right for Minico there. So, that could be the difference this year is the depth. And you mentioned Jerome, who I think is bringing 17 as well, or right around 15 or 17. They're not 18. They're not out of it either, because they've got some solid kids. So, but 3-way battle, possibly from the east side of the state. I think Blackfoot's bringing 15, and they've got some really solid kids as well. So maybe they're in a run for a team trophy there. But it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be close.
Definitely. All right. Donovan Nider wants to know, break down the 4A 160 bracket for us.
I'm guessing that's my son's bracket, and I think Donovan knows that. So he's some really good kids in that bracket. There really is. Hernandez was in the finals last year against Lorenzo Luis from Hillcrest. He lost that, so he was second. He's back this year and looked just unstoppable at points of the season. The 2 seed there, Nicole Ferret, also great. Older brother wrestling right now at Utah Valley University. Just an absolute beast as a junior. I have to go chalk in that bracket because those 2 have beat most of the other kids in that bracket already this season. But there's some really good sophomores. Jonathan Siemens from Nampa is going to be competitive. Gavin Williamson from Jerome is going to be competitive. I'd be doing a disservice to my own son, who's probably watching, if I didn't say he's got a shot. So, that's going to be a competitive bracket. And there's a senior from Preston, Jaden Perkins, that you can't count seniors out. They're hungry. This is their last shot. So there's 7 or 8 kids in that bracket that could do it. I think Hernandez is probably the favorite, just as a hungry senior. And he looked really good this entire season. So another tough bracket, a good mix of seniors and sophomores.
Yeah, a lot of those 4A brackets are going to be just, absolutely up for grabs. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Adele's got another bracket she wants us to break down. 3A 145, Brian. What do you think?
Another fun one to watch for sure. You got Bauer from Buell is sitting at the top, and just a junior, 29-3 record. Absolute animal. And I think you got Knighting from South Fremont sitting at the 2 seed with only 2 losses. He missed some time with injury. So that's going to be a battle there. Do you go chalk there as well? There's always some upsets. Buell's got another junior in there that's solid. Marcus Rager from Bonneville, Gary Hunter from Snake River, you can't count out. But I'm leaning towards Bauer there, but I've watched Knighting wrestle since he was 5 years old. His older brother was a great athlete, wrestled at Rigby, and went on to some college wrestling himself. And, I think Dylan's put in the time. So that could be a great matchup if they end up making the finals. Knighting against Bauer is probably my pick there. And both just juniors. So whoever's hungrier is gonna win that. And I don't know if they wrestled during the season. I should have looked at that, but I didn't look. I know Knighting missed some time, so I'm guessing the part of the season he was out was probably when they would have seen Buell.
And Adele coming in. Bauer is my kiddo, so that's why she was asking.
He probably has the answer as to whether that he wrestled Knighting throughout the season, because I didn't see that match if they did. It might have been when Knighting is out, but that's my pick for the finals, and I think it'll be a great matchup.
That's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So
her son is an animal, that's for sure. He's fun to watch.
For sure. So, hey, we want to hear from the fans, but this is why we're doing it. We're breaking down the state wrestling tournament, and we want to hear a shout out for your favorite team, for your favorite athlete. If there's a question, a team you want us to break down, a particular weight class you want us to break down, leave us the questions in the comments, Facebook, YouTube, or the Twitter handle for IdahoSports.com. Brandon Baney with Bryan Zollinger. And here's TJ Jones, 5'A", 220. Shiloh Jones is a beast.
There is no doubt Shiloh is a beast. I watched Shiloh at the Red Halverson Invitational. We traveled all summer with Shiloh. He was on the Idaho national traveling team with a bunch of these kids for the cadet age group. And he's a scary, scary man. And, I think coming in as a sophomore at the number 1 seed at 220 is pretty impressive. And he just seemed to get better and better as the season goes on. So, after watching him at Red Halverson, good luck stopping him, anybody. But, there are other solid kids in the bracket. Obviously, Anderton from Highland is solid. Rodell from Thunder Ridge he's just an intimidating, imposing, he's a beast. I'm scared to walk by Rodell from Thunder Ridge. I mean, he's just cut. 1 loss on the season. He could have easily been the 1 seed there, but so I'm calling for Rodell, the 3 seed, to knock off Trevor Miller Post Falls in the semis. But I think it's going to be a great matchup, and we'll see what happens. But Shiloh's a beast. He earned the number 1 seed, and that's going to be a fun bracket to watch for sure.
Yeah, so let's break this down. Donovan Nider wants to know who is in the running for the 5A team title. Meridian's the defending champs. They look very strong again. Cuna looks solid. Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene up north, I think it's going to be a tag team effort. I think they're going to have to help each other out if one of them wants to win the overall team title. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's good analysis. I think it's, I think Meridian, I don't want to say they're going to run away with it, but they're going to run away with it. I mean, they've got the depth. They're gonna have so many people podium. It's just going to be crazy. And plus they're bringing 24, so they've got a half a dozen more kids than just about anybody. Post Falls is bringing 20. And so I think you're right. If some of the Coeur d'Alene kids, Giulio, some of these kids can knock off some of the kids they need to score the points, pick up enough bonus points from pins and Tech Falls, maybe somebody has a shot, but I think Meridian is the hands-on favorite. A couple other schools that, are bringing some numbers. Centennial's got some solid kids coming in those upper middle weight classes. Mountain View is bringing 18, which, Mountain View hasn't made a lot of noise, but that's a lot of kids. If all their kids stay in, they could make some noise there. But I think probably a 2-way race with Post Falls and Meridian, depending. Coeur d'Alene could surprise. Mountain View's got the numbers, like we said, they could surprise, but I kind of think it's a 2-way race there.
Yeah, I agree. Cade Sessions says, I'm a 3A guy for sure, but who isn't excited for a potential Giulio versus Brooks finals match in the 5A 170?
Right. I got to tell you, disclosure, I was at a practice last night with Brooks and I took my 30 seconds with him, and I'm walking different today. My neck is jammed. I mean, that kid is quick. I think Brooks is just the 3 seed there, but it's going to be one of the best matchups of the tournament. I think, Brooks will have Isaiah Twait from Meridian in the finals. Brooks could help those other teams out by knocking off Twait. Twait as a junior is an absolute animal. He beat Brooks at the Raleigh Lane tournament. It was, he caught him, but it was a good match before that. I think Brooks will probably knock him off, and we're going to get that Giulio Brooks final. And just a different style of wrestling. Brooks is super quick. Both of them are just strong. So that's definitely going to be one of the highlights of the night if that's the final. And if Twait makes it, that would be great as well. But I'm also looking forward to that Brooks Giulio final.
Definitely. Jacob Beck says Meridian runs away with it, kind of echoing your thoughts for the 5A team race. So, yeah, let's talk about Gunnar Giulio, because he comes in having won 3 state championships for Coeur d'Alene in the first 3 years of his career. And it's a very exclusive club, the 4-time state champion club in Idaho. And we were doing the rundown, Brian, and we broke it down, and it looks like there's 6 wrestlers who could earn that distinction this year. Gunnar Giulio from Coeur d'Alene in the 5A. Then you've got Chris Martino of Bishop Kelly in the 4As. A couple of new Plymouth wrestlers, Joel Campbell and Kyle Rice. You've got Matthews from Declo. And who's the last one I'm forgetting? I think that was...
I should have written them down too. You said Giulio, Martino, Campbell, Rice, and Matthews.
Maybe that was it. Maybe there's only 5.
No, Gillette is just going on 3.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so we were sketching this out before we hopped on.
So somebody out there can correct us. We may have left somebody off, but I think
yes. Let us know in the comments if we neglected somebody there. And also, while we're on that subject, be on the lookout. IdahoSports.com. First thing tomorrow morning. Al Fontes has come on as a contributing writer, and he's been fantastic. He is in the California Wrestling Hall of Fame. He is in the Wrestling USA Magazine Hall of Fame. He was a longtime champion of the sport in California. He's moved to Idaho in the last 2 years, and he is writing a huge state tournament preview for us at IdahoSports.com. He's going to have the full breakdown of 5A all the way down to 2A, and so be on the lookout for that first thing tomorrow on IdahoSports.com. How many of these guys that are looking to join the 4-time state champ club, how many of these guys can do it?
I think all of them. There's going to be some good matchups. If Brooks makes the finals with Giulio, I think, that would be an upset, huge. Last year in the finals, Giulio had Dante Raggio from Kuna, and I thought that was going to be, could Raggio as a senior knock him off? And that was either went last second or overtime. I can't remember exactly how that went, but it was a 1 or 2 point match. So, could Brooks knock off Giulio? Brooks is a high caliber, go, quick guy. And he can catch anybody. He caught Hunter Hobbs in the finals of the Tiger Grizz this year, and stuck him. So that if anybody's, I don't know if anybody's, all 5 of those should be 4-time state champions, but you never know. That's why they wrestled the match, and none of them are undefeated this season, so they've all lost at one point or other in the season, and that's why they wrestle the matches.
That's very true. Some crazy things have happened at state over the years.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. Okay, so again, we're taking your comments. IdahoSports.com, YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitter account. If there's a specific team, athlete, weight class you want us to break down, we're going to be here a couple minutes longer with our 2022 state wrestling preview. Now, despite all of those 4-time state champs potentially that we just talked about, Brian, I think you and I both agree the best wrestler in terms of national recognition coming in is another Coeur d'Alene wrestler, Ryland Rogers. He won't be a part of the 4-time state champ club because he spent his first 2 years back east, but boy, he is a load to bear.
He is. I mean, he went back to the Ironman, the Walsh Ironman tournament, second place there, lost in the finals to Dylan Fishback, and just an amazing match. Obviously, he was back at Blair Academy for the first 2 years. One of the best wrestlers in the nation, let alone the state of Idaho. So he's going to be fun to watch. In fact, Idaho at the Walsh Ironman had two placers. Martino also went back to the Walsh Ironman tournament, which is, one of the toughest, if not the toughest tournament in the country, and also medaled. So Idaho's got 2 really nationally ranked. Martino has already signed. Is he signed with Princeton? I might have that wrong. But he signed with an Ivy League school back there, and I believe it's Princeton. But anyway, Dylan, that's going to be fun to watch. I don't see anybody touching Ryland Rogers and Martino either. I mean, both just fundamentally sound. They don't make mistakes, and they're going to push you the whole match. So those 2 fun wrestlers to watch there.
Yeah, so Ryland Rogers committed to Michigan, and Chris Martino from Bishop Kelly committed to Princeton.
Yeah.
So, yep. Travis Munson wants to know thoughts on Navarro versus Mogger or Exford at 120. We talked about that. This is a wide open classification, right?
Yep. That's it's going to be another fun one to watch. Mogger has had an outstanding season. Obviously hasn't lost, went down to the Chivas California tournament, won that. He missed Raleigh. It would have been fun to see him at Raleigh Lane, so we had some of those matchups. But on the other hand, the expectation, since we haven't seen those matchups, that's going to be, great to watch. My get, again, it's got to be Navarro, Mogger in the finals. I mean, some of those other kids, you don't want to count anybody out in the sport of wrestling because anything can happen. But that's going to be a fun match to watch. Navarro with just 2 losses on the season, Mogger a sophomore with none, Navarro the junior. My money's on Mogger just because he has looked unstoppable this season and with 0 losses. He had a great off season, racked up some, freestyle and Greco national championships. But Navarro was right there as well. I mean, again, in that weight class, we have 2 of the best in the country. So that's going to be fun to watch. Exford, I don't see anybody touching him there. I mean, just another fundamentally solid wrestler. Anything can happen, but I think it would be tough for anybody to beat Exford in that weight class this year. He's got the 1 loss on the season, but again, just unstoppable. And not to discredit anybody in that weight class because you never know what can happen, but Exford looks good, and I think that's a champion the Nampa is going to get.
Yeah, for sure. So we've been talking about some nationally ranked wrestlers. I do have to give a shout out on the girls' side. Marissa Jimenez from Caldwell was ranked 3rd in the nation at 132. She'll be competing at 138 at state, and Mia Furman from Rocky Mountain as well on the girls' side have both been fantastic this year. Those will be 2 to keep an eye on. Our first YouTube comment of the night, Brian. Kim Leonard wants to know, what about Hunter Hobbs, the great South Fremont wrestler?
Yeah. Hunter he is just an animal. I mean, I still have matches in my mind of what he's done to some kids and just run over, Tiger Grizz finals last year against Peyton Brooks. And we're in that, both of them had a whizzer, and he just ran him over and got the pin. So I was, surprising. Like I said, Brooks could beat anybody when he beat Hobbs this year at the Tiger Grizz final. And then Hobbs beat him later in the season. Kind of payback, I guess. But I was kind of looking forward, and I think you and I were talking about that before we came on the show. It would have been fun to see Tate and Gillette of Gooding and Hunter Hobbs, and they looked like they were on a head-on collision at 170 there, and then Gillette dropped down to 60 a few weeks back, and so we're not going to get that finals matchup. And without that, I'm just afraid 3A70. Again, not to discredit anybody, but that's a huge undertaking to beat Hobbs, who he doesn't lose a lot. I think he's got the 1 loss to Espinoza Owens from Utah when they went down there, who was just another, absolute animal. And then the loss to Peyton Brooks in the finals of the Tiger Grizz. But other than that, he's looked unstoppable. I don't know if he's went 3 periods with anybody.
Yeah, Jacob X says Hobbs won Tiger Grizz again. Peyton won. There you go. There you go. And Marie Crystal says Lita Cruz is nationally ranked as well from Minico. She wrestles at the lower weights for the Spartans, and she'll be a female wrestler to keep an eye on as well. She's had a great regular season, Lita Cruz. So
she has. She 3 losses there. She's looked phenomenal. Raleigh Lane, she looked great. So yeah, and she's got the younger Zimmerman sister from Moscow in that weight class at 106 too. That'll be fun. Zimmerman's got Alistair Dillo from American Falls to get past to make it to the finals against Lita Cruz. And, Joey Slider from Lewiston also looked really great. That was my daughter's weight class. So I saw both Zimmerman and Joey Slider at Raleigh Lane, and they both just looked, amazing wrestlers. Joey Slider's a little on the smaller side of the bracket with her being no weight class lower than 106. I think that could be difficult, but that could be a fun match, whether it's Dillister and Cruz or Kira Zimmerman and Cruz. That could be a good finals matchup.
Yeah, if you're looking for just the best, most competitive brackets on the girls' side, it's going to be cutthroat.
It is
because it's an all-class breakdown for sure.
Super.
Kate Sessions, Fulmer and Craig, 3A 152 seems to be the matchup people have been anxiously awaiting.
That's going to be a fun one too. I mean, Riker Fulmer hasn't lost as a sophomore. It was heartbreaking for him last year at state when he broke his collarbone against Craig, I believe. I know it was either Craig or Gillette from Good. Gooding that he broke his collarbone against last year at state. And that was just heartbreaking because he was another one that we were talking could have been a 4-time state champion had he not just had that devastating injury. So that's going to be great. You know, Fulmer 0 losses, Craig the 3 losses, Fulmer the sophomore, another kid that's just looked unstoppable. Impressed by both of their work ethics, just the off season, putting the time, the extra practices on the weekends. So, I don't know who I would go with there. I mean, Fulmer is just, he does not make mistakes. And if you make one, he's going to catch you. And Cade Craig is just an animal, does the multiple state championships that he has. So I kind of agree with that one. That's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. So, hey, we've got a lot of people checking out the live stream here on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and Twitter. While you're hanging out, go ahead and give us a like, because what's going to happen is there's a lot of people that can't be here tonight for the live stream, but they're going to want to come back and listen to it tomorrow or maybe even Friday morning as they're getting ready for state competition. It's going to be a lot easier for them to find this in amongst the Facebook algorithm if you just give it a like. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. That's going to bump us up to the top. So everybody who couldn't be here tonight, they're going to be able to find it a lot easier tomorrow. So thank you for everybody that's liking that. We haven't talked 2A much yet, Brian, and this is always an interesting one to me because, you know, rarely does a team come fully locked and loaded with the numbers that we see at like a 5A, 4A, but man, New Plymouth looks so good. Is there anybody that can challenge the Pilgrims?
No. There's not. They're bringing the most, and they've got the depth. We already talked about Campbell and Rice, but they've just got the hammers coming, the depth. I think they're going to run away with it. You know, if anybody can give them, any competition, Wendell's bringing 12 kids. Ryrie has been a perennial powerhouse and won five of the last 6 state championships. And they've got some really good kids. So maybe Ryrie with 15 kids can give them a run for the money if everything goes right. But you can almost guarantee New Plymouth's going to have 3 in the state championship match, which is a lot of points. And all of those kids are going to have in those finals matches, I guarantee, are going to rack up some bonus points with either Tex or Falls. So I don't think anybody touches New Plymouth, but it's going to be fun to watch them. Coach Rice has just built a machine there.
Yeah, first state championship in school history for New Plymouth last year. And I believe Ryrie prior to last year had won like 7 in a row, I think, for 2A.
So it's pretty amazing. The coaches there do a good job just year in, year out. They make the 5A schools in the region look like they have puny teams. It's just amazing how they get the kids out there in Ryrie to wrestle and do a good job developing them when they get them out.
Yeah, for sure. Paul Kingsbury, our boss here at IdahoSports.com. Go Grims. He is a New Plymouth alumni, Brian. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but yeah, they're solid. Nobody's going to touch him, so he's going to be a happy man this weekend.
No doubt.
Well deserved.
He didn't wrestle. He played basketball. He was on the 1993 state champion team. I think it was 93. He never shuts up about it. So, all right, here's Marie Crystal. She was talking about Lita Cruz from Minico earlier. If Lita takes state, she will be the first female in Idaho to be a 4-time state champion. Thank you guys for recognizing everyone. Yeah, and I guess we should talk about that because it was an unofficially sanctioned event up until this year. It's a lot harder to quantify those results, but that would be so awesome for Lita Cruz from Minico, and she's going to go on and wrestle in college and do a great job as well.
Yeah, that's great comment. I mean, she deserves to be recognized because even though it was unofficial, that's a state title, and she she put in the work and did it. And so that's going to be a great accomplishment if she wins it this year. And I think she probably will.
I'm almost wondering if the IHSA should go ahead and just kind of retroactively put those results back in to recognize some of those 4-time champions. Yeah. Jackson Washington from Coeur d'Alene, the man himself. He wants to know 5A 285. We got a Coeur d'Alene Viking in the house. What do you think?
All right. Is he pulling for Coeur d'Alene, I'm guessing?
So he wrestles for Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, right.
Is it? So okay.
Jackson
Where's he
Washington.
out of the bracket here? Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jackson. In the 5A 285. I mean, looking at the bracket, Ian Allen from Highland is another one. And Highland's had some great heavyweights over the years. It's going to be tough to beat him. Senior, he's going to be hungry. Aiden Attow, I mean, watched his final match. That was a great match with Rodriguez from Columbia at the finals of Raleigh Lane. Attow as a junior just about won that with one loss on the season. I wouldn't be surprised if I don't see anybody stopping either one of those two on the way to Jackson. I haven't watched him enough this season to do it, but he's a senior. He's put in the work, and when I have seen him, he's looked great. So that could be a fun semifinal match with him and Ian Allen at 285. So I don't know. That's a tough weight class, and Attow on the bottom coming up. Whoever gets Attow in the finals, I think, has got their hands full, whether it's Washington or Allen. Attow's put in the time, and he's a monster. But Jackson's no slouch either, so I'm not counting him out. I'm just saying he's got his hands full, and it's going to be fun to watch. For sure.
Shout out to Jackson too. He was a stud on that offensive line for Coeur d'Alene's football team this fall too. He was a beast out there blocking for Gunner Giulio and company.
Right.
For Coeur d'Alene. All right. Jose Luna wants to know 4A Nampa. We kind of talked about this earlier, but we think Nampa and they're going to need to combat the numbers of Minico. Minico comes with the most numbers, but Nampa, if they can score the right points, they have a chance.
Yep, that's exactly right. I mean, they've got 17 really solid kids. They're definitely going to have some kids. We've talked about a few of them, Navarro, Luna, Exford, that are going to be at the top of the podium. Siemens at 160. They've got some solid kids through the whole lineup there. Gonzalez at 32 should be in the competition. So they're gonna score the points, and I think it's coming, like you said, it's coming down to those numbers. And because Minico's got some solid ones. They need bonus points, I think, to beat Minico this year. They're going to have to get some pins and techs and rack up those extra points.
Yeah, certainly doable for Nampa, for sure. Yeah. They've had a great regular season, no doubt about it. All right. Hey, everybody that's tuning in to the live stream on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, or Twitter account, while you're sitting there, go ahead and give it a like, because for all the people that aren't here watching live, they're going to want to check it out tomorrow at some point or Friday morning. And the more likes you give this post, the more it's going to jump to the top of the feed. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician, Brian. I don't know exactly how Facebook calculates everything, and I don't think anybody really does. But the more likes, the better. That helps us get pushed up. So all of your wrestling brethren or sisterin that didn't tune in tonight can watch it at a later time. This is kind of your last chance to get comments in or questions. If you want to give a shout out to your favorite athlete, team, weight class, you want us to break something out, we're going to hang out for a couple more minutes, and then we're probably going to end the live stream. Brian, personally, what are you most excited to watch this year?
Some of those great matchups we talked. It's fun to see who wins the team titles, but some of those great matchups, that we've previewed, the potential Giulio Brooks or Twait Giulio, that's going to be a fun one. All of those kids that are pushing for 4-time titles, I'd love to see that. It's such a great accomplishment, and it's so rare. So I'm looking forward to watching all of those kids compete. Some of the great freshmen we've talked about. I get excited when I see these kids with potential to win a 4-time state championship. Some of the kids that lost in finals matches last year. I mean, I've done that myself and lost in a championship match at state, and you're just so hungry in the off season. So I look forward to some of those redemption matches. These kids that lost in the finals last year coming back, and we just have some great wrestlers, and fun to watch those kids, and put Idaho on the national spotlight. Watching college wrestling now, I think my kids love, the whole team loves to sit down and watch Ridge Lovett from Nebraska competing right now. Ranked in the top 8, and he's just fun to watch. And so it's fun to see Idaho have some of that national recognition, and we have that in Martino and Rogers and several other kids. So I'm looking forward to Idaho wrestling just continuing to get better. Chris Owens has done a great job developing some of these kids with USA, great USA program, great New Wave programs in Idaho, bringing more and more kids up. And so I'm excited for every match, and love cheering for all these kids that put the work in the off season that we get to watch.
No doubt. One last shout out before we hop out here. Becky says, Lita Cruz being a lot of love tonight. I'm pretty excited to watch that girls 106 with Zimmerman.
I am too.
Yeah, that's going to be a really fun one to watch. So Donovan says, great job, guys, on the breakdown. Brian needs a new hat, something in orange, maybe.
As soon as Donovan gets that for me, I'll sport it next time.
No doubt. Hey, thanks to everybody that tuned into the live stream tonight on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, Twitter account. Thanks for everybody who liked it as well. That's going to help us out. And if you want to share it, share it on your personal account, share it with all of your friends and family and other wrestlers that couldn't be here tonight. You've got all day tomorrow and early morning Friday before we really get hot and heavy with it. So go ahead and share it as well, so as many people as possible can hear Brian and I break it. Really, it was Brian breaking down most of this, but
I'm impressed with your wrestling knowledge, and I'm excited for IdahoSports.com, bringing Al on board. We were talking about it earlier, and I mean, he's won national awards for his work with Intermat Wrestling. I mean, that's just going to be phenomenal to have him covering it full time. So I'm excited to watch Idaho Sports and the wrestling coverage in the future, and appreciate what you've done and your knowledge. Just got here last year, if I remember right. And
yes,
I'm glad we have you in the state, and it's going to be great to have Al join the team as well. So appreciate what you guys do for the sport of wrestling.
Yeah, no doubt. So Al Fontes, his big preview is coming tomorrow morning. He'll have a full recap after state wrestling is over, and we will have 6 photographers covering state wrestling at IdahoSports.com as well. So all the photo galleries will be on the website at IdahoSports.com also. So go ahead and share this video with all your family and friends, and get the word out, because I love being an advocate for the great wrestlers in the state of Idaho. Sometimes it gets overshadowed by some of the other stuff that's going on. So we love to put the spotlight on our wrestlers, especially during state tournament time. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. This has been the 2022 IdahoSports.com State Wrestling Preview. Good luck to everybody competing this weekend, and hopefully everybody gets over to Pocatello safe and sound as well at Holt Arena for the state competition. And Brian Zollinger, thank you for doing this as well. We appreciate it as always.
I enjoy it. Appreciate it, Brandon. We'll see you all down in Pocatello this weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, enjoy the state wrestling competition, everybody. And thanks for tuning in on IdahoSports.com.